Are Tottenham Hotspur a bigger football club than Glasgow Celtic? For some, Premier League status and Harry Kane means that's an instant yes. However, others might point out that Celtic are the team with the European Cup, and they have a massive global fan base, so it's an easy no. Maybe the answer is blurred somewhere between these lines. Both clubs have been connected in the news recently as Greek-Australian boss Ange Postecoglou has made the switch from Glasgow to North London, leaving a super successful reign as manager of Celtic to try his luck in the Premier League. But who is the new man at the helm at White Hart Lane? Ange, as he is known, left Greece with his family at just 5 years of age. His parents decided to leave their homeland because of the military junta regime of Athens at the time. They sought solace and pastures new in Melbourne, Australia. Ange grew up in Melbourne as one of many boys with a European immigrant background. He was super proud of his Greek heritage and rejected any anglicisation of his name. He was born Angelos Postecoglou, but his parents officially changed his surname to Postekos in Australia. Ange wasn't a fan. He said that it was a fad, and he was proud to be Greek. Ange has spoken out about how eternally grateful he is to his parents for their sacrifices, for moving to Australia in the first place, and all the support that they gave him ever since. That move was for him and his sister, not for them. They arrived in Australia because it was a better option for their kids, but not an easy option for them. They landed in a place very far away with little knowledge of the culture and absolutely no English language. Ange's relationship with his dad was lived mainly through football. His father was a hard worker, and so football was his respite. Every weekend he took a young Ange to church and then to South Melbourne Hellas, a local Greek immigrant football club. This was how the pair bonded, through football. In a recent documentary called Age of Ange, Postecoglou himself said, "As a kid, I just wanted to fit in. I didn't necessarily like the fact I came from another country and had a really long surname that nobody could get their mouth around. For a young boy, the best way to fit in is sport." He would go on to flick through some old football comics from his childhood that he still has saved. "It's why I keep them," he said. "It reminds me of what my childhood was like. There was a lot of living in a fantasy football world that didn't exist in Australia." Ange was just another football crazy kid with hopes and dreams of one day making a career out of the beautiful game, like so many millions of others. Now his dream is a reality. Postecoglou will begin his new role at Spurs after spending 2 fantastic seasons in Scotland with Celtic. He won 5 out of a possible 6 domestic trophies during his tenure at Parkhead, with a League and League Cup double last year and a historic treble in this 2022-23 campaign. Aside from the obvious silverware, Postecoglou's Celtic have turned heads for their ferocious style of attacking football and the sheer dominance with which they have romped to said titles. When Ange took over at Celtic, skies were grey. They had missed out on a historic 10th title in a row as fierce rivals Rangers had come back into the picture. Under Steven Gerrard, Rangers returned to win the Scottish League title, and they did so undefeated. Celtic looked way off the pace, but Ange, in a matter of weeks, seemed to completely galvanise the boys from the green and white side of Glasgow. They romped to back-to-back league titles and lost just 6 league games in 2 seasons under Ange. Predominantly, those games were lost as well when the season was already won, like a recent 3-0 loss to Rangers. In the Old Firm games that mattered before this season, Celtic won 4 and drew 1, including victories in the League Cup final and Scottish Cup semi-final. Ange turned the tide, and Celtic v Rangers this year looked more like men versus boys. Ange is a sharp and unshakable character, quick with his tongue as well as his tactical thinking. He commands respect and is a natural leader. Celtic Football Club demands success and the pressure of the job is relentless. Ange never failed to deliver. He brought to Celtic a style of football which could be described as relentless all-out attack. Tottenham fans will be dreaming he can emulate that style in North London and bring them some much-needed success. Spurs have now won just 1 trophy in the 21st century, a League Cup title in 2008. Their fans are desperate for something to celebrate once again. Critics will suggest that the Premier League will be a difficult beast for Ange to tame, and of course Spurs' recent track record of new managers has been less than successful, with many early departures. But Ange's own track record sings success wherever he has been. Ange had a short career as a player in Australia, where he won a national championship, remarkably under head coach Ferenc Puskás, the Hungary and Real Madrid legend. An injury stopped Ange's career in his 20s, but he knew a coaching role was destined. In 1996, he became the top boss at South Melbourne, the club where he had played over 190 times. There he would start as he meant to go on, winning back-to-back Australian titles as well as the Continental Prize, qualifying for the FIFA Club World Cup in 2000. Then Ange would spend some time overseeing the Australian youth football ranks and working in various consultancy roles in Australian football, even doing a bit of punditry, before returning to a managerial post with Brisbane Roar in 2009, where he asked to be judged after a year in charge. He would lead Brisbane to glory, including titles, a 36-game unbeaten run, and pundits calling his side the best that Australia had ever seen. All of this came in his first season, where he had made wholesale changes to the squad. Ange won back-to-back league titles and then moved on to Melbourne Victory. He began another rebuild there, joining in April 2012, but before any title challenges came, he had another job. In October 2013, he was named Australian national team manager. Ange would sign a 5-year contract with the Socceroos. He had climbed the ladder the long way to the peak of Australian football. Ange would rebuild the national team and make history, leading them to their first ever Asia Cup in 2015, beating South Korea in the final. He then led them to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, but would resign long before the tournament, and in December 2017, it was announced that his next stop would be Japan. As manager of Yokohama Marinos from 2018 to 2021, Ange would lead the club to their first J-League title in 15 years and become the first Australian boss ever to win that league. He also received interest from Greece about coaching their national side. In June 2021, he would become the first Australian to ever land a job at a major European club, and he made the long trip to Glasgow to take the reign at Celtic FC. Ange became a hero at Celtic. The Hoops faithful worshipped him, and many are still lamenting his departure to Spurs, which creeped up out of the blue just as they were enjoying the end of another treble-winning season. Ange attracted the attention of the continent with an outstanding win percentage of 73%. Twice in a row he was awarded Manager of the Season in Scotland with Celtic. Ange arrived in Glasgow relatively unknown and with plenty of doubters. He left widely regarded as an incredible coach with a strong persona to match the aura of a big club like Celtic or the Premier League. I am not going to take this for granted because I know how hard my mum and dad worked. They sacrificed their whole life for me to be here, Ange said. I don't feel like I am working every day. I feel like I am living a dream that was founded by other people's sacrifice, particularly my parents. This humble Greek Aussie deserves a crack at the craziest league in the world. Ange is as likeable as they come and arrives based on merit, lots of it. This isn't any old manager living off a reputation. Ange has done the step-by-step success story now in Australia, Japan and Scotland at domestic and international level. Spurs fans will be dreaming that he can replicate success in North London. Do you think his sparkling career can continue at White Hart Lane? For his sake, we certainly hope so. But let us know your predictions for Ange and Tottenham in the comments below.